Well. What's up, Jackson? How's everybody doing? How's everybody doing? Oh, no. What was I saying? How's everybody going? How's everybody going? Well, we know the city going. Maybe I need to get some water. Shoot, doggone it. I said I wasn't gonna drink no coffee today. Shoot, maybe I need to get some water. But yo, well, we know the city going today. We know. See, look. First of all, how's everybody doing? I hope you're doing well. I hope you had a good night rest. I hope I hope your week is going well. Yesterday was a heck of a day. I went down into that city council. Of course, you saw it. I don't know if you saw it in my afternoon video, but I told you I was going to come back on today and really, really rock and roll with this thing here and give y'all an update on this joint, on how this thing's supposed to, rock out. Oh man, I'll tell you the truth, man. Yo, let me tell y'all something. Yo, the city. I I told everyone in my recent videos that this is not a gloating situation. Don't get it twisted, because I knew it didn't even make it to a second. He put it on the floor, yeah, but he didn't even get a second because it's too much at stake. It's too much at stake. MV Transport has already stated that they have subsidized the city, and they have implemented some things with no cost to the city, like with the routes and everything. So if they did something that cost with no cost to the city, don't you think the city gotta pay them back? Of course they do. But the city ain't got no heart. So remember I said that. Remember what I said. The city don't have no heart. This is business. It's not personal. This is business. They came in with under this deal. You know? And it's just like, for me, that's what I was trying to express that to the drivers. And I really, and it's like this morning I was looking at the mainstream media, and it was out there protesting or whatever. They got gripe with the city because the city didn't cancel MV Transport. That's gonna cripple the city. That'll cripple the city if it would have passed. We want, like Kenneth Stokes said, we want a win-win deal. So drivers, if you are listening, don't get mad at the city. Don't get mad at the city. Y'all stay off that city. I'm telling you, leave the city alone. They did the right thing by not canceling their contract. They did the right thing. You know what I'm saying? It didn't even get a second. It didn't even get a second. So I mean, listen, I'm telling you, y'all gotta understand that you're acting. It seems like you're acting on emotions and so-called, and he'll say politics, but y'all can't act on that. I sat there in both meetings, this month meeting and last month meeting, and told you drivers, they're not gonna pass that bill. They're not gonna cancel. They're not gonna cancel the contract. I said MV Transport is going. Y'all, they trying to negotiate. They might be telling some stories, this, that, whatever, but that's not for you guys to get upset at the city. You know what I'm saying? That's not for you guys to get upset at the city. MV Transport need to come to a consensus. And like I said before, I say it again. MV Transport pay y'all on the front end, right? Pay y'all on the front end. Extend their contract for 2 more years. They get their bread back on the back end. It's as simple as that. It's simple as that. They get their bread on the back end. And when the city acquires more grants, they get their bread. So then they can move on to doing whatever they're gonna do. You see, that's all I'm saying. But that's too much. That in itself is too much like right. They ain't gonna do that. They ain't finna listen to a peon like myself. You know? And I try to tell, look, nobody looks at YouTube, nobody looks at nobody looks at at Rumble, because that's where I'm gonna start taping on Rumble too. By the way, that's by the way. I'll be there's gonna be some upcoming joints on Rumble. You know what I'm saying? So stay tuned, Jacktown. I'm gonna be rocking and rolling on Rumble too. All right. So, but but yeah. So this is what this thing came to. See, I'm gonna get straight to the point. I ain't look. I'm straight to the chase. No, I'm drinking straight down. No chase. You know what I'm saying? It's a wrap. You know what I'm saying? MV Transport ain't going nowhere. They not going nowhere. But we got to come up with a solution here. And that's the only thing I can see. MV Transport ain't going to lose. If MV Transport, the bread that they pay, that budget that they use to pay these new drivers, these temp drivers, they could use that budget to pay the rest of their drivers. Right? Okay, cool. Boom. They do that on that end. They come back, extend their contract for another 2-3 years, whatever. Boom. Until about time for the city to get some grant funds for Jatran. Jatran slide MV Transport some funds. You know what I'm saying? Just for whatever I don't know, appropriation funds. I don't know, whatever they're gonna whatever those funds are gonna be, but it's gonna be for the repayment of the losses. So MV Transport can recoup their losses, and then everybody be happy. And then the funds that they're paying the drivers, that's going to come out the grant funds. There should be enough grant funds to cover MV Transport, well, the drivers, or they just get some grant funds just to pay the drivers. And MV Transport has extended their contract for another 5 years to recoup their losses. That's what I would do. You know what I'm saying? And that would be no cost. And see, that right there will just straight, you know what I'm saying, straight up. You know what I'm saying? Or there may be a separate grant funds to pay Jatran back, but they have another grant fund to pay the drivers as well. That's the only thing I can see. That's the only thing that I can see. There's nothing else. I don't see anything else. If there is, hey, leave me a comment, because unless there's enough money in the funds to pay the drivers, to pay MV Transport back, you know what I'm saying? That right there, where they find funds for that, boom, 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 that'd be good. Grant funds strictly for that. That's the only thing I can see right now. I can't see nothing else. You know what I'm saying? But like I said, MV Transport is at a loss right now, financially. Financially now, let's call an ace and a spade. You know what I'm saying? So they're gonna be back at it sometime this morning. So we're gonna see what happens with this with this negotiation that's gonna be done on Zoom or whatever. It's gonna be done virtually, but we're gonna see what happens. You know what I'm saying? See if they're gonna come to a consensus of pay. You know what I'm saying? So, it's just like I said, it's an uphill battle. You know what I mean? It's an uphill battle. The workers got to get paid though, real talk. And that's just the bottom line to it. That's just the bottom line. They got to get paid. Well, but anyway, so I land my plane on that one. But anyway, any more news? And more news. Yo. So, yeah, I see that there is a lot of talk about what happened on the road of remembrance with misfortune and the family, this, that, whatever, and a house. Now the property is up with, property owners up with violations and all this kind of mess. Look, man, the city know that folks was up for violations long before this thing happened. All of a sudden now you want to investigate the land and all that kind of junk. Come on, B. Come on, B. Somebody complained about it. Somebody found out and told the city. The city came out and investigated. City did just willy-nilly do that. Somebody complained about it. You know what I'm saying? Shouts out goes out to that family. You know what I'm saying? For losing this lady the way she did. And like I said, like I said, the mainstream media is getting on my nerves. They said, well, nobody needs to speculate, this, that, whatever. Well, this is what we call, if you're not saying anything, then what are we to think? And we're going to talk amongst each other. It's going to be talk. That's all it is. It's talk, gossip. People are going to speak their mind about what happened. But y'all coming out there trying to circumvent what happened. You know what I'm saying? Well, this not a hate crime, this, that, whatever. Like I said yesterday, I stand 10 toes down on it. I stand in possibility. I stand in the possibility that anything could have went down. I don't stand in the possibility, but one thing that I don't stand in the possibility of. One man stringing that woman up and hanging her himself. I don't subscribe to that type of theory. She was on the way up in that tree, for what I understand. I don't know. I don't know eyesight. I didn't see it. But I tell you this. However it happened. You know what I mean? Yo, however this joint happened. One man ain't do it. So, think what you want to think. Go where you want to go with it. But one man did not hang that woman. And if they do that, and you go 4-foot resident, you're the biggest fool on the planet. I ain't never seen that happen. So, what I'm saying to you, resident, put the possibility in this thing. I don't give a ding dong what the mainstream media saying about not speculating. I don't give a ding dong what Mayor Horn's saying about not speculating. I'm not saying to say this happened, but don't say that happened. Just say, put it right there in the middle. Say it's a possibility that anything could have happened. You know what I'm saying? There could have been a hate crime. It could have been a hate crime. It could allegedly, rather. Let's say allegedly. We'll always say alleged. It could allegedly been a hate crime. That was an inconspicuous spot. Ain't nobody got no eyes on that joint. Ain't nobody sitting there monitoring that house and what's going on. Alright. So what we talking about here? What we talking about? Let's say possibility. It could have been possible that a whole bunch of friends hung her. You know what I'm saying? It could have been, you know what I'm saying? It could have been some evil jokers that just wanted something to do. So let's put the possibility in it and not rule out one thing over the other. I hate that woman lost her life like that. I'd rather for it have been through a natural cause. But like that, no. But one thing I can tell you this. There's a first Sunday in every month. I understand that. But black folks don't hang each other. That's all I can say about that. Black folks don't hang each other. You know, we hang each other in terms of persecution. Yeah, we'll hang your ass out to dry. We'll hang you out to dry. You know what I'm saying? When it comes to that heat getting on your tail, nah, I'm gone, baby. You can deal with that. You know what I'm saying? And leave you out there, hang you out to dry for that like that, but it don't make no sense. Tell you the truth. But excuse me. You know what? I like I said, I just hate it. You know, everybody they say, oh, now, don't be too hasty. You know, how our black folk is to be. I don't know if that's a word. I don't know if that's a word. Let me rephrase that. How can black folks not speculate when right now, this current time and date, we've got a young man's investigation down in Ocean Springs, Mississippi. We've had another young man some months ago, Trey Reed, up in Cleveland, Mississippi, was found at Delta University. How can black folk not speculate? Okay, question. Make that make sense. And that's for you, mainstream media, and everybody else who's saying the same thing. Don't jump to the speculations and this, that, whatever. How can you not? Mississippi, let's look at another fact. Mississippi has a reputation for this. So come on now. Don't let your blinders, don't let your naivety, don't be naive to this. And don't let your emotions, resident, make you naive. You know what I'm saying? I'm telling you, don't let your emotions make you naive. Because we definitely get over emotional and we get naive to what has happened or what could have happened. Look, I believe in optimism and I believe in pessimism because they are polar opposite, and that's a natural law. That's polarity. One can't exist without the other. What I'm saying to you is, let's look at the facts. You know, so. But anyway, but I'm going to land my plane on that one. You know, I'm going to land my plane on that. You know. Yeah, I just wanted I came on here to this morning to kind of like, you know what I'm saying, like to really want to really hark on this Jatran stuff because, like I said, they are, you know, this thing here is a mess, And in my opinion, it's a disorganized mess. It's called disorganized confusion. How about that? You like that one? It's called disorganized confusion. Man, I went up in the council, everybody, you know what I'm saying? Because, I don't know. I just think that, people like, I was sitting next door, sitting next to the president of the, culture services, human culture services director. I don't remember her name. But, I mean, she seemed like she a cool lady, you know what I'm saying? And, she was like, yo, your people leaving. I'm like, yo, shorty, my people ain't leaving. So shorty, my people's not, I ain't got no people. I came here dolo. You know what I'm saying? Yo, oh no, she was like, well, your people leaving. What, them blind folks? Man, I ain't with them. I ain't rocking with that. I'm not rocking with none of that, because then that mean, for me, it's like, I'm not, you come to voice your opinion on something because you didn't read. Yeah, I know I'm probably get a lot of flack for this one. I'm finna just call it out for what it is. I sat back in the back to separate myself from, from the bull crap. Because, I'm going to tell you why. They was like, well, why you didn't get up there and speak, this, that? Well, I'm not. I'm not going to get up there and speak. I'm not going to say a ding-dong word at that council meeting because this is my platform right here. Yeah, I go into the record. I got something to go into the record with, but that right at that time, no. Not what I'm going to go on the record with. But I will be going on the record. I will be going on the record. But what I got going on, that's what I got going on. It ain't got nothing to do with what's going on there. And I wasn't finna go up after them folks, and I wasn't finna go up before folks. I wasn't finna do that. Because for the simple fact is, I already knew what was cracking. I already knew it wasn't gonna pass. It wasn't even gonna get a second. It wasn't even gonna get a second. Here's why. The city was already at stake. And that right, because Dr. Scott Crawford sent out the memo of MV Transport. And seems to me, nobody truly read and studied it. Nobody truly read and studied it. Because if they read and studied it, the comments that was made in that council meeting wouldn't have been made. They'd have been sitting back at home, chilling. They're like, man, that dude ain't gonna pass that. Whatever, man. Stokes ain't gonna pass. They ain't gonna pass that for Stokes. Stokes blowing smoke. You see? Because they would have knew. They'd have knew it like I knew it. They'd have knew it like I knew. What the hell disability rights doing there? What them attorneys doing there? Apparently they didn't read the information either. I'm just keeping it a buck here, y'all. I know I'm gonna get flack for it. It's cool. But I'm telling you straight up, I read the document. I said, nah, they're not gonna pass that. MV Transport is operating at a loss. They grounds to sue the city. They got grounds to sue the city to recoup their money. It wasn't contracted. That probably was a contingency. I don't know if it was a contingency or not, but it probably was a underhanded contingency in order for them to get in. That may not have been. I don't even think that was in their contract. Because why would they publicly say that? All right. So let's just so listen. I'm saying so no. That's why I said. I said, lady, I'm not with them folks. I'm not with them. Your friends, your folks is leaving. No, I'm not part of that. I'm not leaving because they leaving. I said no. I stayed right there, chilling, till it's time for my bus to pick me up, and I got on down. I didn't leave out with nobody. I'm telling you, man, because it was whack. Folks, talk about something that ain't got it ain't worth talking about. You making statements that don't even work because you ain't reading them. You're not reading the information right. I'm letting y'all know this is not gonna happen. Ken Stokes could say whatever he want to say. Now, let me say this: he made some very valid points yesterday. But we'll get into that. He did. He made some very valid points. But my point is that this right here, I knew it wasn't gonna pass. He knew it wasn't gonna pass. He did that as a publicity stunt. He did it as a publicity stunt. I'm telling you, he did it as a publicity stunt. You know, so I mean, but like I said, y'all should have had enough gumption to read that information over and over again like I do and be like, oh no, he ain't gonna pass this. It ain't worth talking about. Alright, let me tell you something, Resident. I'm not finna beg nobody. Cause to me, it seems like they was begging. I ain't finna beg nobody. No, y'all need to not do that. Keep the services, this, that, whatever, and get this matter resolved. Tell you something, bro. If you read the information and look at the facts, you ain't sit back and be like, man, folks ain't gonna do nothing. Folks ain't gonna do nothing. I knew then when Richard's disposal, when former mayor told Richard's disposal to pick up that trash that Monday. He told them to pick up their trash, and they picked up their trash. Ken Stokes then came on the media and said, I don't see why they're doing it, they're not going to get paid. Another publicity stunt. Now, let me say this. I knew then they weren't going to get paid. You know why? I knew they had to get paid because that was a performance. That was performance. That's contract. Automatically. If you know contract law, that's what that is. That's why Richard's disposal had to get paid. Resident, don't be naive. Read. If you don't take out time to read a page or a paragraph a day, read. Because I'm going to tell you straight up and down, I've sat there, I'm like, man, please, they're going to pay him. And they want to pay him. You know why? Because Richard Disposal said, if y'all don't pay me, we're going to take y'all to court. And I'm going to sue y'all for double. Y'all going to get double the trouble. Performance. Performance. Reliance. Don't play. Don't play. But anyway, I'm gonna land my plane on that one. But look here, Ken Stokes yesterday, he made some real good points. He made some very good points about MV Transport, about Jatran getting them new buses in, these hybrid buses at $800,000. That's dang dong near $1 million. That's almost $1 million. So then he was like, so what are we getting these $1 million buses in here for? And he right. And if we don't go to the surrounding cities, the service is not extended. Sunday services is not there. Folks can go to church in other places. We don't even have the riders that we need in order to pay for this. I'm gonna say this here, and I'm gonna land my plane. I've been harking on this mess about this ever since I knew about the Jatran paratransit, and once I became on that committee. I said something to her about it at the last Jatran paratransit meeting. And you know what it does? It falls on deaf. It falls on. It don't even get put back in the back burner. It just falls on deaf ears. Because at least if it get put back on the back burner, at least it didn't fall on deaf ears, right? At least it didn't fall on deaf ears. If it was put on the back burner. This thing don't even get put back on the back burner. I wonder, did it fall on deaf ears yesterday when Kenneth Stokes said it? Because so many people's anticipation and anxiety was focused on him putting that bill on that resolution on the floor. And they missed to hear what he had to say about this. Him and Ashley Foote is 100% correct. Plane landed. See y'all tomorrow.